Olmo Omerzu, a Slovenian director resident in the Czech Republic, takes Ian Willoughby to some of his favourite spots in this edition of My Prague.
Slovenian filmmaker Olmo Omerzu has been living in Prague since the mid-2000s. In that time, the director has enjoyed lots of success with Czech-made movies such as Winter Flies and his most recent work, Bird Atlas. Our tour of his Prague begins at the spacious Café Kolektor at the Trade Fair Palace in Prague 7. The place was previously known as Café Jedna.
It's a coffee place that I usually work here, even though I'm not a big fan of working in cafes, but this is actually the only place that I can concentrate. Probably it is something with the echo in this place, because you don't hear actually the voices, but you hear only the echo, so you can be more focused to the work that you're doing at that time. So
also, I guess the tables here are relatively very far apart.
Yeah, which is not very much, it's not very common if you compare it with the other places. Yeah, it's true.
Also, what I like here is we're here in the late afternoon, early evening. The light is nice and low, which is so unusual in Prague. So many places, the lights are crazy bright.
Yeah, it's true, but it's also because it's mostly it's a natural light. They have like these big windows, so for me it's always nicer to have a natural light than to have a unnatural one.
And when you sit here for a long time working, do the staff come and look into your empty cup and try and make you feel guilty or whatever?
No. It's not this kind of place. Also, you need to order at the bar, so this is also something that, for example, I don't know it from Slovenia or other countries, that the waiters are always checking if you already drank the thing that you have, the coffee or something. And it's kind of quite often it's very unpleasant experience that somebody is all the time trying to take you the cup from the table. Yeah.
You mentioned Slovenia, where you come from. What led you to move here to Prague?
FAMU. Actually, this was the first motivation. Tried to do the exams, and then I was accepted to school. And but I didn't think about my studies that I'm moving to Prague, that I'll be living in Prague. Also, when I finished school, I moved back to Ljubljana, and I was living there for 1 year. And I realized that in a way I have a homesick upon Prague, which was very weird for me at that time and very new experience. But somehow it's logical, because, I was 18 years old when I moved here, and then I was studying for 5, 6, 7 years. It's also, that period of time when I lose friends in Slovenia. I realized, because I was for a very long time away, and also I got like a working space and working friends, and like actually I think that I form kind of my real friends here. So this was also, then was the reason was that I moved back, and also at that time I finished FAMU with a shorter feature called A Night Too Young that was premiered at Berlinale Forum section, and somehow I established my career already in Czech Republic even more than in Slovenia, where I was in a way newcomer, because I actually didn't shoot any film in Slovenian language. I still didn't do it. And also I had always a problem with Ljubljana in a way that it's so small. Probably it's a very nice city for old people or young families, but somehow it was more interesting for me to live in Prague.
You've been living here in Prague 14, 15 years. What do you feel like the city has given you?
I was always very much orientated in work. I'm very glad and very happy that I'm shooting my films here in a country that, I'm not from Czech Republic. I see that this is very generous from this country that I can do my films here. And probably also, if I say so, this is the main thing why I'm staying here. But at the same time, I like Prague very much. I have a wife here, and Monika is from Slovakia. So somehow it's also interesting that we are both foreigners. She's more connected to Czech Republic as a Slovak, but at the same time we have we share a similar experience, that we are living in a country that we weren't born here. But I remember that Prague is very intense city. For example, I felt it even more at the beginning when I was staying here for a few years, for the first few years, because I wasn't adapted so much, and also I had like homesick sometimes. And I always remember these winter time periods, how dark it was, and how even I got this feeling that even the city had got this dark atmosphere, even more than some other cities. But yeah, I like the city very much.
The next port of call on our short tour of Olmo Omerzu's Prague is literally a few meters away. It's the bookshop at the Trade Fair Palace, the functionless gem that houses the Czech National Gallery's modern collections. The street-adjacent store opens onto the ground floor of the enormous building's atrium.
For my work, it's very important to be inspired through the other artists also. So I'm always, when I'm traveling, I'm looking for art bookstores. I'm often very much inspired by authors that are doing photos or contemporary art. And actually I'm very much seeking for a maybe bigger place or bigger bookstore that it will be in Prague. But this one I like very much because it's close to the cafe that I like very much, and also they have a very interesting selection of art books.
Art books tend to cost quite a lot. Do you frequently buy?
It depends. If I see something that I've got a feeling that I need to have it, or it could be also that I see only one photo that for me it's important, and through it I start thinking about something totally different, and it's enough only to photograph it with my telephone or to Google it somewhere else. And it's more about this kind of association process than to study the certain book.
What do you think of the building here? We're sitting by the bookshop in this main hall at the Trade Fair Palace, and it really is quite something.
Yeah, it's totally unbelievable. Actually, I remember that I was at the exhibition, and in one moment I realized that I'm more looking for places and the architecture and the building than I was watching the paintings on the wall. That I was also so fascinated with the building as itself.
From the Trade Fair Palace, it's only a short walk to the cafe bar Kavarna Liberal, which is at the lower end of the Letna district that has become synonymous with hipsters in recent years. Olmo Omerzu is a regular here.
For me, one of the reasons that I like this place very much is diversity of different people that are going here. So in that term, it's so interesting that there are a lot of people that I know that are from the art scene, but also like people that I don't know what they're doing. I can see that they are from totally different world, and I like this mixture of different people, and that the bar or the cafe shop could be this melting pot of different views and different experiences, and I feel very kind of comfortable in this place. I like also how it looks like. It's not this typical minimalistic type of hipster bar that it's now more or less everywhere, so it has got some authenticity.
I see on the menu here that they're serving mussels, which is surprising to me. Have you eaten here?
Yeah, I was eating here a lot of times, and they have really good food also here, which I think is also not so often that you can go somewhere for a coffee and they have good coffee, and they have a good beer, great wine, and good food also.
Also for me, they have maybe the best beer available now in this city, Unietica.
Regarding beer, I'm very much conservative, I'm the guy who's drinking Coca-Cola and drinking Pilsen beer, so but yeah, I like Unietica also.
And tell me, do you spend a lot of time in this area? Because I know you live around Davice, so do you spend a lot of time here, which I guess is like Holešovice near Vltavska metro?
Yeah, I'm living in Davice and I like Davice very much, but somehow when I'm going for a beer or going for a coffee, I'm usually going to Holešovice, to Letna district. And there are two reasons. One is that I like to walk before I went for a coffee for 15 minutes, which is, and I'm usually doing, I have a great walk. Either I go through the Park Letna or through Park Stromovka. And it's for me like the great balance to have a 15 minutes of walk and then to have a coffee somewhere. I'm not actually so much going. I don't have favorite bars at Davice.
I have never lived in Davice, but somehow I've always had the sense that it's a really boring part of town. Am I right?
No, I don't think so. I like it very much. Maybe it's even more. Well, I don't know how to say, but I have more feeling that the people are living there for a long time, because this Letna thing, it's very hip, and you see a lot of young people, students living here, and sometimes you have even feeling that everything is kind of temporary only, that it may look in a few years differently because another neighborhood will be hip. And this is something that actually I'm okay with it, but it's not that I would like to live in a neighborhood which is like popular in that way. And I don't have a feeling with Davids. I like the sense that probably in the same way there are happening things already for years and ages. Before I was living on the other side of river for years, and then I realized somehow that I really need a space, which I got at Davids. I mean that the streets are wider, that are more like avenues, and it's also kind of a platform which is settled beyond Prague in a way. It's very interesting for me. I like to live there very much.
What are the good things to do in Davice?
I'm very much a person that need to go for a walking. Like for me, the walking is the most important part of the day. I actually realized that, I'm sitting, I'm working on a script or working on some ideas for films, but then I need to walk, and it's not like a walking that I'm now resting or I'm thinking about other things, but it's usually more as solving a problem that I have it on my table. And I always solve it through walking. So I have this long 1 hour or 2 hours walks where I can concentrate in my head actually only this one thing, and I don't even see so much what's happening around me. And I like that at Davids it's the part that I'm living in at Davidska Street. It's settled in between two parks, which is so interesting. I have this circle that I'm going from one park to another if I need, for example, a very much longer walk. And then also you have, last few years, there are also many new coffee spots where you can get very good coffee, or restaurants, and it's not so much a part of the city if you're looking for a nightlife or something like that, but I don't want to live above a popular bar. I had this one-time experience in Ljubljana, and it was horrible. I was feeling that I'm kind of a grumpy old man, and I was like 18 years old, and I was all the time going there and complaining about the noise. So it's very stupid.